Hey y'all, it's Crypton Critics. I'm here to review the newest MCU movie, Infinity War, Avengers Infinity War. Now, this movie, uh, before I get the spoilers, I would just like to say this movie is bold. It's, just one of the most entertaining movies I've seen. It, if you've been following this franchise, like a nerd like me, but there's a good chance you might cry. You're gonna have great laughs, and all types of shit. Um, so many characters get great shine and great arcs interwoven, all types of things. The continuity of just this franchise has really come together. That's been going on for the past 10 years, ever since Iron Man first came out, and most recent movie before this one was Black Panther, and Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain America, and all types of different trilogies and different characters. It's just amazing to see how with all these working gears that actually did come together. That's not an easy task, and a lot of people were blown. Minds were blown when the first Avengers movie came out back in 2012. There's like you got Cap, you got Iron Man, you got Thor, you got different side characters, and you got Hulk. Um, they switched the actor out, so even that was like testing the water because you're just throwing a whole different actor to that role. Um, but yeah, this movie, it whenever it gives you a high point, it takes you down. It's just a roller coaster of different emotions. One moment you'll be laughing your ass off, just like, oh, that's great banter going on right there, uh, and then it'll just turn like, oh shit, that was, well, why you gotta do that? So let me get into what the plot is. Thanos wants the Infinity Stones, and he wants to, you know, much like this cover of Infinity Gauntlet. Um, he wants all this stones, so he will be the most powerful that there is, and he does have a motive that we find out later in the movie. He still has connection with Gamora. Um, uh, Nebula, he really doesn't care about, you know, but that's definitely not inconsistent with his character. He has his Black Order, and he goes out to look out for the stones, whether it's on Earth or whether it's in a different dimension or whatnot out in the cosmos. He will find it, and he will whoop your ass for it. So let's now start getting into actual spoilers. Um, Characters that we definitively see die. I say definitively, keep in mind, spoilers, because, you know, much like in Infinity Gauntlet, in the third act of the movie, Thanos snaps his fingers with the Infinity Gauntlet on and removes half of all life. And you see characters like Bucky, Groot, um, Falcon, uh, Black Panther, so many other characters. Scarlet Witch, you just see him turn to dust, and oh my god, that fucked me up. For the characters that we know that died pre-snap were characters like Gamora. She was killed by her father so he could attain the Soul Stone. Um, Loki, his neck snapped in like the first 5 minutes of the film. Heimdall is stabbed in the chest. It's still kind of fucked up that he's a black guy. He was the first one to die, but that we see die on screen. But still, I let it slide because he had a good purpose of sending Hulk back to Earth, and Hulk ends up in Sanctum Sanctorum in New York and meets up with Doctor Strange and Wong, and eventually Doctor Strange meets up with Iron Man. They leave Pepper Potts to the side completely. They just kind of quickly mention that Tony Stark and Pepper got married in between Homecoming in this movie. Spider-Man has a very great introduction. He wants to help to fight off the Black Order when they come down to New York. New York is getting fucked up again. Nowhere near as bad. Nowhere near as bad as the last time, but still, it's still some bad shit going down. Even the early fight in New York and the early fight with Thanos and Hulk, both they both really establish how the movie was going to continue, and they're both like really well done. And I was on the edge of my seat, or I was stuck in my chair, like, oh shit, this is nerdgasm. All types of shit going on. Spider-Man gets the new Iron Spider suit. He ends up on the Black Order's ship. Hulk decides to call, Steve Rogers. Tony hasn't done it since Civil War, last time they fought. But he's been living in Wakanda. He was, for a short time he was living in Wakanda. Then he was becoming like his own like solo Avengers group with Black Widow and Falcon. They meet up with Scarlet Witch and Vision. They've been dating, which I think is cool because I like their relationship in the comics, and I like seeing that is represented more in this movie. But even with that, when push comes to shove, when Vision dies twice, kind of, it's just like, oh fuck, don't. He was the out of like all the characters that are on the good side, he was definitely one of the most Boy Scout characters. I'm just like, oh, why you gotta do him like that? He has such a good hard drive. But it was interesting to see just the whole last battle in Wakanda with whatever those like dog-like demon monsters that Thanos brought. Thanos gets all the stones, and he meets up with Red Skull, and seeing Red Skull was cool again. I kind of wish it was Hugo Weaving, but he said he was going to come back. I mean, the guy that got to do it does well of enough job, but it's still not Hugo Weaving to me. I'm not sure if we're going to see him again. I mean, we had a quite a span of time since the last time we saw him, back in the first Captain America movie. But, the whole scenes where we get Thor getting his new weapon, I did enjoy the scenes. I was not expecting Peter Dinklage to be playing a giant dwarf, which kind of seems like, contradictory terms right there, a giant dwarf. So I guess Peter Dinklage finally gets to play a character that's not short, because he's like tall, but he's still a dwarf. And I'm not necessarily speaking about the actor. Never mind. Never mind. It's just it's stupid. But he's the forger of Thor's hammer that was broken in his last movie. So he's like, oh, I'm gonna give myself an axe because that's the only way I can whoop Thor's ass. And he goes there with Rocket and Groot. Groot is kind of like a douchey teenager in this movie, because the last time he was a little baby Groot, but he's grown a little bit since. Well, he grows faster than a human definitely does, but he's older now, even though really he should be very old. He might even be 1,000 years old. Who knows how old tree people get? I don't fucking. But Groot is still consistently one of my favorite characters, and whenever a character goes, or you're wondering if they are going to go, you're just on the edge of the seat. Just seeing um, Iron Man almost like bite bite the dust was heart wrenching. I really thought he was going to go out. Doctor Strange, he kills in every scene, and his character arc with Tony is amazing. Um, the Guardians really shine. Just every character has a moment. Um, I was kind of worried that they would just put Mantis completely to the sidelines because just like all you can do is like mine things, but she does become pretty useful when Peter Quill just starts losing his shit when he finds out Gamora was killed. Um, the whole scenes with Nebula being captured, just like damn, that's fucked up. Um, just so many great things to be said about this movie. Um, you know, it, like even when I'm done talking, recording this for you, I'm still things are still going to be going in my mind. I'm like, oh shit, I should mention that. I should have mentioned that. Um, Seeing Shuri and Okoye and Mubaku was cool again. I really liked those characters from the Black Panther movie. Um, I don't know what kind of condition Shuri's in because we had to cut away because just like there's no time. But we're praying for Shuri. We're hoping that she's still okay. Um, but yeah, um, I'm definitely gonna have to see this movie again, to like really assess if how this ranks with my top movies because you know this quite honestly may be my favorite superhero movie. Once again, I feel like I need to see it again, but there's no doubt in my mind that this movie is worthy of an A plus. A plus on that bitch. Um, you just have to see it for yourself to just like, oh my god, how are people going to react to this? And it was very entertaining because I had like two uh, black nerds behind me, just like, oh shit. And towards the end of the movie, he's like, stop playing these fucking mind games, dog. Stop playing it. And when the movie ends, just like, god damn it. How they gonna do next? And I really don't know. I can assume that anybody that was dusted away can ultimately come back because it was done with the Gauntlet. But I don't know who they were going to bring back and who's going to continue with sequels. This movie really puts you on the edge of just like what is going to happen, and ultimately, even if they do undo these things, it's not the fault necessarily of this movie that they're brought back. It's this movie's plan is just to give you that journey and just understanding what can be done with all these characters. Whether or not someone dies, come back, that's really up to like the people working in storytelling, Kevin Feige and whoever works what. But this movie is fucking awesome. It's beautiful. It's the music's dope. How can you not love that Avengers theme? CGI almost every shot is done extremely well. There's some composed shots that move just a little too much for my liking personally, and there's some action scenes where I'm just like, okay, this this could be a little brighter, so it's a little easier to read, but those kind of like nitpicky things. But I'm so amazed by what they've done with these characters and how much they've made me feel. There's at least 3 or 4 times that I nearly got waterworks, but I just didn't know. Just like, are they really dead? I don't know. It's just like beautifully haunting, and I think that's the best way to describe, especially the first viewing. At least my experience, but I'm sure I'm not alone. Um, so tell me what y'all think. I'm I'm not, some kind of Disney shill. If I didn't like this movie, I would let you know. But I fucking love this movie. I adore it, and quite honestly, maybe the best MCU movie, and possibly one of the greatest comic book films ever to be put on the screen. So, Spartan Critic, as part of the Krypton Critics, I love you.